everyone, Joe here from Action X. Welcome to What's in the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your 17th The Rookie Feds episode review, part 2 of the crossover story from yesterday's Rookie, which I've already talked in length before in that review. That, like, yeah, my opinion on the crossover stories and crossover events, they're two different things. So this is a crossover story. And it's finally funny for once that this feels like more of the impactful Rookie episode of the two, where like we actually get more into details on both sides of this cartel team up per se. Similar to the Rookie side of things, it was also progressing certain things from the Fed standpoint. Not too much as in the Rookie. This was mainly focusing on the actual their case against Abril. And then so going into that, I feel like for me personally, if I have to compare the two of them in terms of like the crossover story, I feel like it was a little bit more impactful on the Fed side, a little bit, just like a tad smidge, so to speak. But overall speaking, in terms of like the episodes and stuff, I think like this episode of Rookie Fed does help service a couple of characters, but mainly this was finally focusing on the crossover story that they were setting up, as well as continuously tying into the larger Rookieverse as we've been progressing the last couple of weeks, introducing a couple characters that I honestly wasn't expecting to be in this episode. That was surprised to see. It was very much of a treat. And yeah, so let's get down to it. Let's talk about the episode in the Butcher recap. So we begin all the way over in Guatemala. I forgot her name already. Damn. Abril is killing a priest for some reason. It's a very shocking moment. A lot of blood. Then we cut over back to LA, where currently Simone got her ass kicked in chess by her dad. Turns out to be an annual tradition. This is the day that Cutter got released from prison. This is his Freedom Day, and this activity is kind of like what they did every single year. Ironically speaking, like they always I'm assuming this was either a guesstimation or just like they always happen to play chess at least once a year. So this is kind of like their annual tradition that they still managed to make work. But Cutter does drop some news that the officer that did falsify certain evidence to get him arrested for the crime that he did not commit, which is, since then he has been, kicked out of the LAPD. He's been basically blacklisted. He's basically been like hated already, is on his deathbed right now. And Cutter is going over to visit him to give him a little bit peace, a little bit of, I forgive you, because it's been decades since that incident. Simone is not agreeing to this because, again, remember, they lost so many years together, and the time that they get together was not a lot considering the fact that, Simone's mother passed away a couple years after Cutter got out. So it is not entirely... It's not Simone's decision to make peace with it, but, Cutter would appreciate if Simone would come to, as support, to, also vote, I'm sorry, I forgive you for taking away so many years away from my father. Meanwhile, Mark and Laura are about to get into another passionate love-making day, but Mark wants to finally define their relationship. He wants to finally consider themselves boyfriend and girlfriend, since they have been doing a lot of cross-country trips, a lot of hookups, a lot of sex. Even after Valentine's Day, they still want to, he wants to officially put a label on it. She just wants to keep the hookup thing going. But of course, finally, it's kind of beginning to start to affect their relationship. But eventually it's, Laura gets called in, so they have to postpone the conversation until later. They're all at the Fed's debriefing room, everyone included. It's apparently going to be a joint task force between the FBI and the DEA. And who do we have on the DEA side of representation? That's right, it's Xavier, J. Michael Richardson's character that we saw on the Rookie universe. So he's jumping over to Feds, and honestly, and he actually has a bit of they actually wrote him a bit of a bigger connection on the Feds. So honestly, it's cool. Again, I vocated so much that I loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. growing up. That he was part of that show in the beginning, and then that he was a really good part of that show in the beginning. I was actually it sucked that because of budgeting effects he couldn't stay on longer. So it was great to see. It's great to see him again. He's getting a little bit of a side eye to Carter, and Carter's like, you know what? It's just Feds and Deeds. They don't really like each other. Deeds are more like cowboys. Feds are more by the law. So it's as much as we serve the same body of government, we are still have two different styles over the things. Garza shows up and he basically points out now that Elijah's off the grid, now it's time to focus on Abril. You know, the LAPD took care of Elijah. We're going to take care of Abril. We got access to Elijah's burner phone, and we know Abril's last known location. So this will be enough to like finally put them out. But before Garza is able to proceed forward with the info drop, the DEA's leader chimes in and takes over basically the entire conversation, saying that like this is a drug related matter. We're taking point on this. Yes, it is we did get this information from y'all, so we are including you, but technically we're running the ship here. We are going to Guatemala. We are going to her castle. We're going to basically take her down right here, right now. And that so to speak. Even they're trying to wonder, like, you know, is it a confirmed, like, is she going to be at that location? And then, you know, obviously, Carter and Simone do bring up the fact that, April's mother just passed away last week. So she's kind of, you know, in grieving again. She's in like, not the best emotional state right now. So she could be prone to an attack right now. So that's why they're really using this to their advantage. So back in their private office, Garza splits up the team. He takes Simone and Carter to go overseas to go assist with the task force, while Laura, Brendan, and as well as eventually Brendan decides to loop in Mark to come in to basically profile, to bring in Elijah and see if they can figure out any little more information about April or anything in general to his organization that they could use right now. Laura does not want Mark involved, considering the fact they just had, like, they was about to get into a mini argument, but however, Brendan, not knowing the full details of the morning so far, he doesn't know about that, so he decides to, like, you know, still bring him in, because, like, hey, he's on vacation, you know, you're both supposed to have a day in, you can still have a day out together, just, like, you know, solving cases instead of, like, you know, solving each other's pleasurements. So we head over to Guatemala. Originally, it's just supposed to be just the feds in their one plane, the DEA in their other plane. But sad to say, the Xavier shows up, immediately gets into beef with Carter. Apparently, they have some really bigger issues. They used to be roommates, and Quantico, because originally Xavier was trying to be a Fed, but he dropped out because he did not like the attitude that the FBI was imploring. So he switched over to the DEA side. But yeah, again, it's kind of neat that, like, they're tying in, you know, Xavier to the larger universe. I'm pretty sure, like, oh, we need to use the DEA. We already got a DEA character that we set up in The Rookie. Let's bring him over here. As well as that actually creates some conflict over here. That it is believable, like, yeah, these two would have had some sort of cross paths at some point. It works naturally. I agree with it. Does that mean that, like, oh, Xavier's going to come back for more? I really do hope so. I love J. Michael Richards. I really hope he does come back for more after this episode. Because either on Rookie or Rookie Feds, I really don't care. Like, you know, I want to see more of him. I want to see more of him as just the character, you know, continues to flesh him out, because we only got so much. A little bit of him during the one Rookie and now the one Feds we got with him. So yeah, so these two are not comfortable with each other right now, but they're sharing the same plane to Guatemala because they have no choice to. Once they get there, it's a pretty simple op. You know, they got multiple teams entering in multiple different angles. They're going to take down anyone they see and then take in Abril into custody. So, meanwhile, over back in LA, Brendan, Laura, and Mark are trying to figure out, okay, now that Elijah's off the board, physical wise, while he's going to run the ship from prison for a little bit longer, eventually they're going to find a new permanent successor outside the forces eventually. So they're trying to figure out who it was. Laura and Mark do get into an argument because they're arguing between two different people who are, like, they both have the different advantages, but again, since we know Laura and Mark do already have, like, a competitive nature, plus their sneer argument, it's starting to leak into, like, their actual work, their work talk conversations, which is becoming very more noticeable by the minute. However, eventually they realize, like, well, maybe we're not looking at the bigger picture here. Maybe there's something else we're not looking at right now. So they bring in Elijah, trying to scare him off of, like, yeah, your team's about to abandon you. Like, you know, maybe you should cut a deal now so maybe you can get out there pretty faster. And Elijah's like, no, I don't need to. I know my men. They ain't gonna do any shit against me. But maybe you guys are just trying to scare me because you need something. Maybe you need the burner phone I had. Maybe you need something else that I might have. I don't know what you need, but don't worry about it. You know, I think, like, you know, right now, you think you have a Abril catch. You think that, oh, we got the burner phone. Like, we're going to get her right now. It's going to be a piece of game. Oh, please. You don't know Abril. Bro, she's got a bigger game for y'all than you imagine. So, that kind of scares them a little bit. Laura calls over Garza, but they're already in the middle of the operation. They go in. The house is crystal empty. No one's there except the priest we saw at the beginning of the episode, who he was killed and then later hanged as, like, a symbol to everyone saying that, like, I'm coming for you. At first, it is intimidating, but they don't have any sort of evidence right now on the premises because, you know, April's already in the wind. They meet up with the priestess next of kin who converses that, like, yeah, he's been a man of God. He's had no arguments with anyone recently, but Garza asked about his life before he became a priest. He was like, well, yeah, he was a cop. That's about it. Like, you know, he had some, you know, tanglings back then, but that was about it. Like, so that's all they really can get on. So they got no choice but to go back to the States as they realize, where can Abril go now? Where can she go next? She goes back to LA. Immediately starts killing people, already trying to take over some operations, trying to, like, you know, figure out her next move here that we don't know about yet. So Garza and the others return back home. They're like, okay, we didn't really get anything on that operation, but we're going to stay vigilant. We're going to be in touch with the task force, trying to figure out what is next to be done. So until we get a break, y'all can go home. Y'all can, like, go back to your lives. You know, don't worry about it. Well, I'll call you if anything. Elena invites Garza out for drinks, considering the fact that they was not the big victory that they wanted. But Garza's like, you know what? I know you got a girlfriend now, so I'm like, yeah, go spend time with her. Don't worry about me. So she does do that. They're enjoying some conversation at a bar. They're just talking about, like, you know, a potential future trip they might take together. Meanwhile, outside, unaware of them, Abril and her right hand are watching them. Apparently, they're going to use Elena's cell phone to get into the FBI, to the Fed's HQ, to try and get any information they can about the person who killed Abril's father. Because it's the whole reason why Abril's doing this, because her father was killed by a government official, a government soldier. Someone in the government, Fed, DEA, someone knows, and the Feds will find out for her somehow eventually as they continue working her case. So they need that. It was a bit of a risky move, but the right hand manages to get it done. But she is basically still in disagreement about April's plans right now. April's becoming more cocky, more very self-centered, not for the sake of the business, but this is a personal vendetta that could take down her entire organization. She doesn't care. She kicks out her right hand woman and decides to take things over for herself as of now. Meanwhile, Laura and Mark return back to Laura's place, assuming Laura thinking that they're about to go back to sex. But Mark's like, no, we had a whole fight, and, you know, just us being together right now when we're in the midst of this fight is not going to help things. And if you don't want to define anything right now, there's no point for us to be together right now. So I'm going to go sleep over at Brendan's, leaving you alone. So I think we cut to the next day. No calls or anything. I don't think anything occurs. I know Simone has another conversation with Cutter. They're going to meet up. He's going to meet up with the officer today. Simone's still not in agreement about this, but, you know, eventually, I think this is just what life is. You got to let go of grudges. You got to let go of, like, certain things, because, like, it's not healthy. Having a grudge is not healthy. It definitely. There can be a conversation about what the stakes can be for grudges. I feel like if it was something of, like, for me personally, do I have a grudge on people? Not really. Do I not like people? Yeah, but that's different. I think her only grudge is, like, you know, you're gonna always be negative towards them. I'm more of a neutralist, where if I run into someone that I don't have, I have a little bit of a problem. Not a problem. Like, I don't like them anymore. I don't really find them comforting. I'll still be nice. I'll still be as neutral as I can. Like, it will be very generic. It'll be very basic. I will, with some respect. And then once that is over, I move back on. I continue forward with my life. There's no point to hold on to it, basically. And Cutter does have a point. Like, it's been decades. Like, yeah, it sucks. Like, those years he can never get back. But there is no point in, like, holding the grudge over. Like, he got everything he wanted out of him. The guy lost his job, he lost his credibility. What after that, we don't know. Yeah, it sucks he's about to die, so it's like, at least he can, like, give him a little peace of mind, like, your biggest mistake, you're forgiven. You may have lost a lot, but you are forgiven. But Simone doesn't see that still. So everyone reassembles back at the HQ. They're just, you know, still waiting on the word. Nothing really occurred that night. They're still on the lookout for Abril. And the only thing that Garza... Well, actually, no, they don't find anything new via their task force, but Garza does decide to do a little digging of his own. He found out that the symbol that Abril left behind with the dead priest's body is matching to a DEA FAST logo, which used to be a private ops unit within the DEA that was basically doing some kind of shady operation that were not really constitutionalized, but eventually Congress kind of removed the funding for that, so that kind of was very much removed. But the people who were on their team in the time frame Abril's dad died was 1997, which is the year I was born. Two of those members that were seen in a picture with Abril's dad are two people that they're working with. One, they just were in the task force yesterday in Guatemala, and the other one who's running point on the entire operation. So it's a little precarious, to say the least. Like, it's really coincidental what's going on here. So Garza decides to go back to Guatemala, questions the dude again, and asks him, like, what was going on? Like, there's just too many connecting dots right now. Either you tell me right now, or after I leave Guatemala again, you will, whatever happens after that, I will not protect you. I will not give you a hand whatsoever. And he admits, like, yeah, I used to run some warehouse patrols back then. I don't know what exactly happened, but what I do remember is that I heard some gunshots one night, but I don't know if it was exactly what was done there. That's all he could say. So it does give them some credibility of, like, yeah, so it had to be the guy, it had to be the task force leader, but they're figuring out, like, this is all too easy. Like, you know, for one, this is way too, like, falling on the doorstep. Why is this happening? Like, and then they figure out, like, well, wait a minute, maybe they're doing it because they want to get the information pretty easy. Like, they can, like, you know, get it out of us. But, like, how can they do that? Like, they're in a federal building. There's no way they can bug the place unless they bug one of their phones. And they're all thinking, like, wait, my phone was in my hands all night. Like, where was the other? And then later, and it's like, yeah, I had my phone away for, like, a little, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, even when you're on a date, even with a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever partner you might have, just put your phone right in front of you. Like, I know sometimes it's a little disrespectful because you think, like, oh, if it's face, like, it gets a little bit too much in the weeds. If it's your, like, a serious partner, yeah, flip it over. It's fine if they see anything. If it's something new, you can throw it down. That's totally fine. I don't know. But for me personally, I do not like keeping my phone in my pocket. Like, for me personally, this is just a me thing. You don't have to copy me, but I put one of my hands in my wallet pocket. So, like, no one can try and sneak up on me and try to steal it. Even if I'm in a chair, like, even, like, if it doesn't have, like, a covering like this, they can still do something in the side and I wouldn't notice it. Like, I always pat my leg every minute or so just to make sure so it doesn't go too far off my reins. As for my cell phone, yeah, just leave it on your table. It does not matter. It's not a sign of disrespect. It's just a safety issue. Like, you know, if phones, you know, a lot of shitty things can happen if someone takes your phone. So they figure out it's a hearing app. Elena has it, and sadly say that probably April knows everything right now, who actually killed her dad, so now she's gonna go after him. So Garza returns back to the States. Now they're focused on finding the dude, but he's basically in the wind. The DEA cut contact with them because of, you know, the bug, but also they don't want to, like, you know, snitch out one of their own. So they're really kind of screwed in the pooch there because, like, they don't really know what else they can do right now. Yeah, so Garza takes Elena to go try and maybe figure out, do a little recon on their own, trying to, like, you know, not make up for Elena's mistake. It wasn't really her fault, but still, like, you know, just to give her a little pointers for the future, just in case if anything happens. Everyone's back at the HQ, just waiting to go. Carter's informed to go make up with Xavier, make up patch, see if they can find any new information about where the guy could be. They meet up. They kind of make up a little bit. It's not like a perfect solution, but, like, they do understand each other, you know, because they're getting older. That, you know, having a grudge when you were in your 20s is definitely not something to, like, always keep going. So they make up, and he admits, like, yeah, I don't think he would go into hiding. He's not the type of person. He would probably go after her. So that would be enough. Garza and Elena go back to the restaurant that Elena was at. They find a security camera, very pointedly cleared, directed towards a potential area. So they go get a warrant to go get the footage. And they're cross-referencing. Meanwhile, Brendan is trying to, like, pitch to Laura because obviously Mark stepped over at his house last night, so he knows everything about what happened between them. So Brendan's, like, trying to be like, you know, I'm trying to get you two back together, trying to get you kids back together. Don't worry, like, let Brendan take care of it. And he mentioned, like, I did a Lifetime movie once with a guy and a girl, and the girl's name sounds way too familiar to the guy, which I'm like, it's a Lifetime movie. I'm not surprised. Even Laura's like, you had the worst freaking career ever, right? And she's like, my IMDb is legendary. I tried to do my best Barney accent. It didn't work. So they all meet up. Eventually, they do get notified about the search and seizure with the security camera, but they don't get notified about it because apparently the DEA task force leader disabled their alert system somehow, so they didn't get access to that information. They look at the cameras. They do get a license plate. They do get a connection to a building. So they all scramble over there with some SWAT members. to take him down. But the guy's already there first. He engages with April. They have a brief gunfight. He doesn't talk anything about, like, he has no remorse over anything. He just doesn't give a shit. Like, he did what he did, and that's it. He just doesn't care. Eventually, April gets the jump on him. She's about to kill him, but the feds show up just in time to try and stop her. She holds him at gunpoint, saying that, like, you got nothing. I got nothing to lose. Like, if you could have killed me right now, you would have. So you don't have a clean shot. Yeah. So Simone tries to talk her down. It doesn't really work. Eventually, it just proceeds too far. April gives in. She kills the guy, and then Carter has no choice but to kill her as well, ending both of them, and thus ending April's run on this cartel's organization. So we return back to the Fed's HQ. Okay, April might be taken down, but of course her right hand is still in the wind, so she could probably take over the operation at any point, which is probably what they're going to do next, most likely with the storyline, considering the fact that'll be 3 leaders in 2 years. It's not really the best status quo for this cartel. Like, they're not really doing so hot right now. Everyone's instructed to go home, but it's not entirely as simple set in stone there. Elena does feel guilty about because her phone got hacked, 2 people died, but Garza says that's part of the job. Like, there's something you can do. Like, there will be days where we were able to save everyone. Some days we're not able to save everyone. It sucks, but you got to take the victories ahead and keep going forward. So, and it's great to see them having an actual, bonding moment again between them. Simone's still thinking about the fact that she wasn't able to get through to April like she usually does, and Carter's like, yeah, sometimes people are just too far gone to be saved, and Simone's like, she can't stop but think about it, really, and she really can, and you should really try and change everything you can right now, when you're able to, which is obviously a sign for her with the police officer that put Cutter away, and of course obviously with Carter and Xavier. So Carter goes to talk to Xavier. They're all good now. It's all water on the bridge, and as recompense, Carter will pay for drinks to make up for, which I'm like, free drinks? I don't know. Laura summons Mark over to the presentation room, where she basically puts an entire PowerPoint presentation on the terms if we were boyfriend and girlfriend. Which I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that we are finally getting some acknowledgement about labeling. Thank you, God, because sometimes it's still a bit of an issue. I mean, at least for me personally, but that putting labels on things can be a little bit precarious, so to speak. So. That can get a little bit conversationalist, but you will. But they decide officially they're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend. They're going to make this long distance relationship work for now. See where things may go in the future, but this will be beneficial to both of them. Simone returns home not home. She goes to the hospital with Cutter to go make amends with the police officer, and yeah, I believe that's it. I think that's all said and done. I don't think we're forgetting anything. No, that's it. That's all said and done. So yeah, that was it for this week's episode of Feds, as well as the crossover story event for the Rookie universe. On the Feds' point of view, I feel like this focused more on the crossover story with Abril giving her more backstory than we have. It's kind of funny that it was La Fierza had a very tragic backstory, and then her right hand also had her own tragic backstory. It's like, Jesus Christ, these cartel leaders, they're going to have some big dramatic backstory for them to be leaders. I'm like, you can't have a basic ass childhood, which I'm like, kudos. So it was nice to get the focus on there as well, give Garza some more emphasis on this with the mission as well. The other storylines, yeah, it was great to finally see Laura and Mark finally be official. We now have 3 official relationships on the Rookie Fed side of things already, between all of them. Simone might be one eventually, but they haven't really explored that right now. Garza needs some love, man. Garza needs some freaking love. He's got a heart attack. He had a heart attack. He needs some love. But I'm just saying. But yeah, so Elena coming back after so long. It's been weird because we haven't seen her literally every episode since we came back from. All this month we haven't seen her at all. So it was nice for her to come back, give her some more scene time with Garza, building up their relationship and everything, which is great to see always. The the Simone storyline was kind of the weakest for me this week. For once, yeah, she is there. She does have a purpose. I'm not saying that at all, but as much as I like the story arc that they were presenting with this episode with her and her father, I feel like it goes without saying, it didn't really sell me really much. personally speaking, it's just my personal opinion. I'm not trying to put it against it. It's just like it was the one I was least engaged with. And then finally getting to see J. Michael Richardson back as Xavier after his brief stint on The Rookie was great. I love seeing it. Hopefully we'll get to see more of him down the road, as like a reliable asset for both shows to use. I can't wait, and definitely him now having more of a relationship with Carter that could open the doors to something. We don't know. I'm down for anything. I'm down for more J. Michael Richardson. I'm down for more. But yeah, overall for me, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. In terms of the crossover story, like, again, it is what it is on that, definitely there's still more question marks for Elijah in the future. The overall Guatemala cartel is still out there, so they can still come back into play in the future. A lot of things, but so right now with the crossover story, it was mutually beneficial, but it wasn't the best. I still feel like the beginning, the January one in the beginning was like probably the best one. That was a crossover. So, yeah. But, yeah, so let me know in the comments below what you think of this week's episode of The Rookie Feds. Let's have a conversation down below, as always. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been Was It 2 from Action X, reviewing every episode in the hopeful first season of The Rookie Feds. If you want to know what we're doing normally, Was It 2, besides our Feds episode reviews, we're currently doing Walker episode reviews, Walker Independence reviews, each and every week. This week also we have our special 469th episode coming out on Friday night, so stay tuned until then. But if you only care about The Rookie Feds and also The Rookie, we are going on a 3-week hiatus. We will come back on March 21st, 22nd for the return of The Rookie. So we're on a 3-week break, so enjoy your Tuesdays off from me. Enjoy a little bit of levity. We have our Perry Mason reviews kicking off next week, so we're still going to be busy on the What's in the Tube side of things, even though, ironically, both Walker and Walker Independence are also, like, Independence is done this week, Walker goes on break again, so it feels like it would be easier for me, but it's not. It really isn't. Like, the work never stops for me. It never does. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Please like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring the bell, and as well as follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, for all you Feds out there in the world, thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all in 3 weeks for the return of our shows. But until then, stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.